Hello, welcome back. I am the Erroneous Kaiser. In the 90s, during the comic boom, there were numerous ways comic publishers were trying new and innovative ways to get new customers to buy comics. This was on the decline, actually, but they were pumping out comic after comic and trying to one-up the other publisher. So we had, die-cast covers, silver covers, black covers, and one of my favorites, glow-in-the-dark covers. Now, there's been a recent uptick in glow-in-the-dark covers, and so I'm going to give them to you my 8 best glow-in-the-dark covers. So starting at number 8 here, this just came out just recently, but just to show I'm not really doing this all on nostalgia, we're putting this in here. This is Geiger number 1. This came out in April. This is one variant cover by Gary Frank. Now, the image in the daylight on this cover isn't all that spectacular, but if we were to turn off the lights, we would see this radioactive glowing skull that really pops. This really sets the stage for a kind of theme going through my top 8, something that's not there in the daylight. Number 7. This character wasn't as popular, but he did have a pretty nice run in the 90s. This is the Spectre. We're going to take a look at number 1 right here. This came out in 1992. Everything's got to be real extreme. Everything's got to be real deadly and real dangerous, real violent. And here we have a ton of skeletons on the cover here. This series is a pretty good run on Spectre, and this cover here is actually really awesome in itself. It's in my top 8. We have a bunch of skeletons, and then when we turn off the lights, we see this glow-in-the-dark skull using a massive amount of glow-in-the-dark paint. It makes it totally pop. Spectre's cape and clothing really add to the spaces within the glow-in-the-dark, which I think adds another level to it, making this totally awesome. Alright, number 6. Nocterra is another new series that just came out in the past few months. Glow in the Dark not only fits the cover here, but it fits the theme of the book. It's all about darkness taking over and everyone having to stay in the light to survive. So you see here one of the main characters standing there with a flare, and if we were to turn the lights off, that flare stays right there. This is a great use of using the themes from the comic book to also put something interesting that ties in on the cover. We got number 5 here. Here we have something, we go back a few years for this, and it's a character that everyone really loves a lot. Here I have Venom. The series is titled Enemy Within. Now, the only glow-in-the-dark cover for this series was this number 1 right here. I'm pretty sure you can see what will happen if we turn off the lights. Venom's glowing eyes, teeth, tongue, and slime. It really works for the character, and that's what really makes it pop and be so effective on the cover here. Cover artist here is Bob McLeod. He did a lot of stuff in the 80s and 90s, and this comic happened to be coming out in 1994. The glow works for the character, and it definitely pops off the comic, and the amount of glow and where they put it really makes this an exceptional glow-in-the-dark cover. 4. Alright, here it is, another one, Spectre number 8. What, two comics from the same series? Well, not many other series were putting multiple glow-in-the-dark covers on their comics. This came out in 1993. And this one really actually blows that other one out of the water here. Alright, yes, actually the first image right here, you might be thinking, what, this isn't cool or dynamic at all. It's just him floating above a bunch of people. That's not that cool. But if we just turn off the lights, this totally changes. It absolutely adds 100 levels of awesomeness to it. We get this X-ray view of everybody, but it's not supposed to be really an X-ray view. I think they're all supposed to be like dead. We see Spectre himself is this X-ray crucified spirit of vengeance. What really makes a lot of these covers really awesome is when there is something that we don't see in the daylight being brought to us in the darkness. I think that's what really makes a lot of these really, really awesome. 3. Here we have Green Lantern number 50. A lot of stuff happens in this issue. This came out in 1994. We got the death of Kilowog and Sinestro. Don't worry about it, they got better. We got the first appearance of Parallax, and we have the first appearance of Kyle Rayner as Green Lantern. Now this cover, yeah, it's pretty cool. We see Hal Jordan, now Parallax, breaking the main power battery on Oa. Everything's green, and if we turn off the lights, yes, It's not anything different, but having the Green Lantern glow in the dark is just so obvious. Why is this the only one that does? Seriously, the Green Lantern can control glowing green constructs. Why did it take DC 3 years to put some glow effects on a Green Lantern comic? 2. Ghost Rider number 15. This came out in 1991, which means this is the granddaddy of them all. This is the first glow-in-the-dark cover. Now, it was really hard for me to not put this in the top spot, just because it pops so well. For having Ghost Rider, the first character to have a glow-in-the-dark cover, makes a lot of sense. There's not a lot of color on the cover here, but that's okay, because if we switch off the lights, it pops so well. Having Ghost Rider as the first character for a glow-in-the-dark cover, and using this much glow-in-the-dark paint was genius, right? This really stands up even, this many years later as being such an awesome use of glow-in-the-dark paint and a really awesome glow-in-the-dark cover. It was really hard for me not to put this in the number 1 spot. There is also a gold background variant of this, but I think I like the black better. Alright, before we get to number 1, let's talk about some honorable mentions, and maybe a dishonorable one too. Honorable mention to Radioactive Man number 1, 1993. We do get our next review of him. By that time, I think it'd been done better. Daredevil 321. We got a lot of glow on this, and it's a really nice idea with the kind of sonar circles for Daredevil. There was a costume that was in the interior of this. I don't really think it was needed at the time, whatever. But there just wasn't enough. There's so much building here. Definitely couldn't break that 8 spot. And Batman 530 to 532, another 3 issues coming from DC. These ones were in a row. They all feature Deadman and Batman teaming up. The glow on these isn't that great, and it doesn't actually show up all that well in the dark, and it's actually outshined by a bunch of other glow-in-the-dark covers. That on top of the fact that I really don't like Kelly Jones's art that much. His art aesthetic there. Really heavy use of black in every single line and crease and like nook and cranny of any part of anybody's body or face. I will say it looks better in black and white than in color. Once we put colors into his work, I really don't like it all that much. But he does have a very large fan base. He has been the artist on some very exceptional runs in Batman and Swamp Thing, for example. And so much so that he is been emulated even in recent times. Kyle Hotz is one guy I see a very, very large similarity to Kelly Jones's work. But that being said, I don't like the aesthetic all that much. That on top of the fact that the implementation of glow in the dark was not so great on the covers, kind of a dishonorable mention. Here it is, the one you've been waiting for, the one you've been waiting for. Number 1. Alright, here it is, my favorite, another Spectre comic. Yes, they did 3 comics for Spectre, and they weren't even like one after another. This is number 13. 1, 8, and 13. I don't know why they would pick those numbers, but this cover I think is the greatest of all of them. Here we have Spectre riding a horse, right in front of the full moon there. We got that in the background, and all these like little demon dudes, little bug things, whatever, on the bottom. And if we turn off the lights, my God, it's just so much cooler even than it was right in the daylight. We got this freaking skeleton horse, X-ray horse, whatever I'm gonna do it. We got the skeleton Spectre once again, and this time it really gives me these like headless horseman vibes. We have the Spirit of Vengeance now being a literal Grim Reaper. That's the vibe I get off of it. Yeah, I think it's so awesome. This is definitely my favorite. And those are my top 8 glow-in-the-dark comic covers. If you have a favorite glow-in-the-dark comic book that you think I've missed, let me know that down in the comments. I don't know all of them yet. There are some other newer ones that have come out that I think are pretty cool, but I don't think they're all that dynamic. J. Scott Campbell's Storm with lightning bolts around her, that was a con exclusive. Also the Wolverine 3 claws, that was glow in the dark. I mean, that's cool, but it doesn't really add much to the overall like dynamicness while it's glowing in the dark, right? Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I do hope you have a fun time watching. I'm the Erroneous Geyser. I'll see you next time.